There are moments when you want to go back in time and erase your memories. Hello, I'm Serena, 32, and about 4 months ago, my 32-year-old mother-in-law, Lenora, 54, moved in with my husband, Elias. This occurred following her divorce from 58-year-old Warren after 20 years of marriage. Nobody in the family is certain of the actual reason behind their breakup. Despite my repeated questions, my spouse consistently claims he has no idea. After moving in with us for a few months, Lenora would scream herself to sleep. Her sobs were so loud that we could hear her through the walls. Her eyes were usually red the next day. She avoids me a lot, which I wouldn't mind if I didn't see that she acts normally around my husband, her other kids, and their boyfriends. She simply appears to stay away from me. So I decided to approach my spouse about it before I went to bed one night. "Serena, stop being so wild. My mother adores you." "She definitely does," I retorted. "She doesn't treat me badly, but when you're not home, she's in her room all the time." Maybe bring up marriage to her. What has transpired during our 6-month marriage? Dad called it quits after 2 months. That comparison is absurd. Your siblings are married and have spouses. What distinguishes myself from others? We just got married, like I said. I was nevertheless disappointed that she didn't enjoy being around me, even if I think he had a point. I made an effort to be kind, asking if she wanted to go for a stroll in the park with me, purchasing her favorite tea, and making sure she was comfortable. She refused everything. Her bedroom is meant to be the nursery, so I'm not sure how long she plans to remain, but I hope it's sooner rather than later. Elias and I had intended to become parents, but we had to put our plans on wait in order to tend to his mother's wounded heart. I didn't mind having her living with us other than the baby situation, that is, until I discovered the reason behind her dislike of me. Betty, Elias's sister, and her 2 children arrived for supper. It was Betty, Lenora, Elias, and the 2 children seated around the table, savoring each other's company. Elias abruptly stood up and said he was sorry. After a short while, he returned carrying a box. "Oh, Elias, that wasn't right." Betty made fun of him. "You're very funny," he answered. My husband handed me the box and said, "Here you go, sweetheart." "What is the event?" I inquired. "Well, I realize I missed our 6-month anniversary, but work has been killing me. I wanted to give you my apology before we reached 75. I discovered a lovely flowery outfit when I opened the box. I hadn't saved enough money for it, but I had been admiring it for a few months." "Elias, you really shouldn't have. I'm grateful. It's really lovely." Glancing around, I noticed Lenora's dejected demeanor. She flashed me a half-smile when she saw me staring. She said a feeble, "How lovely." I went upstairs to hang the dress to prevent wrinkling after supper. The family was gathered in the living room, with the exception of my mother-in-law, who vanished out of nowhere. I didn't mind because she did that frequently. Betty told my husband and me she was going on a date the following week as we were seated and chatting. Would it be possible for her to borrow some jewelry? Since the father of the children, Betty hadn't gone on a date, and that didn't work out. Naturally, I accepted and made my way to my bedroom. My mother-in-law was standing against my closet. "You should not be in my bedroom," I inquired. "How come? How come you are in my bedroom?" I said it again. "All I wanted to do was browse your closet. You look very lovely in that outfit." I had no idea that would cause problems. I answered, "It's not," but I wasn't sure why. After nervously standing there for a short while, she returned downstairs. To be honest, it was sort of a nuisance, which is why I don't know why I said it wasn't. My husband and I immediately went to bed after Betty and her children left. I usually sleep very well, so when I heard my closet door open, I opened my eyes wide. Lenora was standing beside my closet. She had my exact attention. Considering how late and dark it was, I was humiliated. I was unable to even talk. Rather, my mother-in-law closed the closet door and went out of the space. I had trouble sleeping the remainder of the night. When my spouse awoke the next morning, I informed him what I had witnessed. My mother. I think you're kidding, he said. Why would I make such a joke? I caught her skulking about our room. I stated that, and Lenora came downstairs immediately. Lenora, would you mind chatting for a minute? To you as well, good morning. Could I please have a cup of coffee first? What's the point of acting like I didn't see you last night? I inquired. What are you discussing? In my closet, in my bedroom, I reminded her. Oh my God, do you still insist that I search through your closet after supper? I said, No, I saw you in the middle of the night. Oh no, sweet youngster, I wasn't that person. Have you any nightmares? I'm not sure. That seems to be the case. She laughed and continued, You must really not like people admiring your outfit if you're dreaming about it. She'd come close to convincing me it was all just a horrible dream, but I wasn't quite persuaded. I didn't sleep well the following few nights, but it was kind of a good thing since I remained up to see whether my mother-in-law would return to my room. However, weeks passed with nothing happening, so I quickly forgot about the experience. Before things became strange once more, it was my husband's promotion dinner. He got me a dress and asked me to wear it. I had admired it long enough, so I did so with pleasure. The fit was off, which was the issue. My waist was excessively constricted by it. Oh, honey, I assumed you were aware of my dress size. Naturally, I do. A 4 is what it is. And sure enough, when I checked the tag, it said 4, and it was from the brand I typically buy. Upon closer inspection, I saw that the waist of the dress appeared stretched, as though someone who was a bit larger had chosen to try it on. Oh, honey, you didn't notice this dress was defective. What? That is not possible. He saw what I saw when he held the garment in his hands. That's impossible. Well, anything. I didn't give any thought to pulling out another clothing. My spouse appeared to be distracted when I picked it. I ought to have faith in him. That evening, we had a good time. Due to his mother's divorce, we hadn't gone out together in that way in a long time. But when we arrived at our house, his mom was sitting on the couch with her back to the front door and appeared to be unhappy. Mom, you okay? I am, of course, fine. Why wouldn't I be? She lost her temper. Oh, what's wrong? She hung her head low, then gave a patronizing shake of it. You know, ever since your father abandoned me, I've been going through a rough patch, and even though a few months have passed, I'm still not well. I would have liked to have supper with the two of you, or just the two of you. You know, you got promoted. I wish I could have witnessed your celebration. Mom, I apologize. Really, I have no idea what to say. As it stands, Serena and I seldom ever go on dates. She murmured, Yeah, it's my fault you guys don't go on dates. Serena added, Well, kind of, yes. Serena? Well, I won't apologize for that. If we're being forward and honest about it, we deserve a night out together. And you shouldn't either, Elias. Whoa, say that you wish I would get out of here. Why don't you? You're not aware of my struggles. She got up and went into her room before any of us could speak. Elias grumbled, I don't know why you had to say all that. You know she's going through a hard time. Well, I don't see why she's attempting to cast blame on us for spending a date night. We are free to express our emotions if she is. Elias simply massaged his eyes in annoyance rather than saying anything. His mother now made a point of avoiding me. Things took a turn for the strange at this point. I dressed for work the next day, wearing formal pants and a lovely top. I'm employed at a legal office as a receptionist. This blouse fits me wonderfully every time, and I've worn it hundreds of times. However, it was swollen today, and to make matters worse, the area under the armpit felt damp. I never perspire as much. I removed the garment and gave it a close look. The blouse was unbelievably stretched. The moist places at the pits were the worst of all. I looked at my arms, and sure enough, I was not perspiring. I took out another blouse, and the problems persisted. I didn't have time to solve the issue because I was late for work. I managed to unearth a salvageable shirt by reaching all the way to the back of the wardrobe. However, I was somewhat frightened. How come my garments looked like this? Unless someone deliberately wore my clothing and stretched them out, there was no logical explanation. While at work, I started to consider the potential causes. Maybe it was ridiculous, but I had this weird thinking. That was necessary. My mother-in-law was the only other person my size in the home. She was little larger than I was. No. Why? Why would she act in such way? That is absurd, peculiar, and bizarre. I choose not to share these ideas with anyone. I wanted to give my mother-in-law the benefit of the doubt, even though I knew I shouldn't have. I remained up long that evening watching to see whether my mother-in-law would come into my room. Regretfully, I was unable to stay awake for too long before falling asleep. Upon awakening and commencing my routine, I discovered that my toothbrush was damp. I was being eaten alive by my paranoia. Is my mother-in-law here? Anything from ruining my toothbrush to stretching garments and causing pit stains. Why in the world was it raining again? I was putting on my panties as I was getting ready for work. I drew the line at this point. I pushed up my panties and felt them expand. No, she didn't merely put on my freshly laundered undies. I removed them right away and sniffed. Elias. He hurried upstairs and ruined his clothes with coffee. Baby, what's wrong? Your mother. What? I understand that this may seem absurd, and perhaps it is, but it doesn't bother me. Your mother has been using my toothbrush and wearing my stuff, even my underpants. I have a vengeance against this woman. What makes you think that about my mother? She would never act in such a way. Please don't act as though you are unaware of how she is around me. My mother loves you. Where is she now? I must speak with her. Serena, I swear to God, you and I will have to wonder how long this marriage will continue if you trouble my mother with your delusions when she's still in despair. My mom is a rock. I detest witnessing her suffering following my dad's actions. Please don't tell me anything unless you have concrete proof. Yes, I do. The garments are elongated. They have an odor. The washer may be that. Perhaps a new one is needed. Knowing he would refute anything I said, I ended the conversation there. How did I miss the fact that he was a mama's boy? Explains her decision to live with him rather than his brothers. I would provide the proof to him if he requested it. I went to the closest store that evening to purchase some sleuthing supplies. 2 covert cameras. Verify. Speaker. Verify. All I needed was that. I returned home with 2 fictitious plant pots to cover up the cameras. I have a plant for you, Lenora. It will invigorate your space. Why? Well, Serena's trying to be nice. After saying, okay, thank you, she looked back at the television. Eliza's eyes were telling me he was observing a change in her conduct. I'll put this in your room for you. I put 1 camera in her room and 1 on my bedside table facing the closet. I was summoned downstairs for supper just as I was about to inspect her closet. I slept well that night, confident that I would soon receive a response. I didn't even bother to glance at the front of the closet the next morning. I rummaged around the rear for clothes and left for work. I looked at the video on my phone. Regretfully, she hadn't stopped by our room. I began having self-doubts on the way to work, wondering whether I was just having hallucinations. I had trouble concentrating on my work. I took another look at the camera footage during lunch. I looked into my restroom and there she was, my mother-in-law. I listened to the audio using some headphones. Something electric, like the sound of an electric toothbrush, was audible to me. I felt like throwing up. How often did she act in this way? She walked out of the restroom and over to my closet. Lenora reached far into the back of my closet, as one might imagine. She started humming to herself. She then, to my horror, undressed to her underwear and spread out my skirt and top. She let out a frustrated sigh when the cloth tore. He would adore you, of course, she whispered. He likes what he sees. Horrified, I watched. She was murmuring, but soon she was crying, and I could hear it. She took a seat on my mattress. I guess Mom would be really proud, Lenora, that your husband's passionate stare prevented you from keeping him. She purchases a vase for me, acting naive, amiable, and kind, as though it will make a difference. Did she believe that I had cheated on her husband? No, that is not possible. What evidence did she even possess? Oh well, she murmured as she examined herself in the mirror. This did not clarify anything. On the contrary, it raised additional problems for me. I informed my supervisor that I wasn't feeling well and left work early. In an attempt to catch her in the act and finally put an end to this mystery, I floored it. To avoid her hearing me pull into the garage, I parked down the street. I cautiously made my way into the home and looked for her using my live camera. Lenora remained on my bed, gazing intently into the mirror. I inhaled deeply before walking inside the room. She looked at me, startled. "What are you doing here so early?" I said, "What in the world are you doing?" ignoring her query. "It's so embarrassing," she sobbed, burying her face in her hands. "Lenora, why are you doing this?" Bitterly, she said, "You really want to know?" I said nothing. "This is so awful. I shouldn't have to explain this to you. My husband, ex-husband, Warren, when we were intimate, it's not your concern," she yelled. "I'm going to make it my company. You've been rummaging through my stuff, ironing my clothing, and giving me the creeps. I'm entitled to clarifications." "All right. Warren spoke your name to me while we were intimate. Serena, Serena, oh." My heart broke. When I asked him about it later, he pretended nothing had happened. "During dinner, I started to notice how he was staring at you, how you entered the room and his eyes brightened. You're gorgeous, appealing, and youthful. What could he not enjoy? Then, he filed for a divorce and I ended up here, with the woman I despised the most. But I didn't do anything. I objected. Please. You enjoyed the attention, sneered her. Oh my God, no. You will no longer behave in this manner. I apologize for my unintentional involvement in your relationship, but this behavior, putting on my clothing, brushing my teeth, it's finished. You have 1 week to vacate my property." "What? Why? How could I possibly leave?" "I don't trust you, Lenora. I could never leave Elias, even if you informed him of what you observed." "Perhaps not. However, you might want to reconsider if he and the rest of the family watched the video." When I flashed my phone to display the live camera, her eyes widened in panic. I told her not to bother because it had already been uploaded to my email when she attempted to take it. It terrified her sufficiently, even though I was lying. "Listen, Lenora, I apologize for what occurred, but I detest what you did. You require assistance." She only sneered and took off my clothing. I was going to discard them anyhow. Elias received no explanation from my mother-in-law when she moved out a week later. Her daughter stayed with her. I believed it was best to tell my spouse the truth even though I felt horrible about the situation. When he viewed the video, he was taken aback. Betty and he intervened on Lenora's behalf. In a year, she has not missed a single day of therapy. We haven't spoken to my father-in-law in 3 years.
Hi, I'm Lisa. As a dedicated architect, I've not only designed buildings but also built a stable and accomplished life for myself. By 32, I was living in a home of my own design. A true dream turned reality. This achievement stood in stark contrast to my younger sister Rachel's approach to life. At 27, she preferred taking the easy route, relying heavily on our parents for support. Our relationship had always been a bit strained, largely due to Rachel's tendency to stir up drama whenever she felt overshadowed. Despite this, I tried to maintain peace and offer support, even though it often felt one-sided. "Lisa, you're always so put together. Must be nice not having any real problems," Rachel would tease, her voice dripping with a mix of envy and sarcasm. "I've had my fair share, Rachel. Just because I don't broadcast them doesn't mean they don't exist," I'd reply, trying to keep the peace. When Rachel announced her engagement to Mike, a guy she'd been dating for just a few months, I was hopeful yet cautious. This could be her chance to finally mature and take responsibility for her own life. "He's amazing, Lisa. You'll see he's different from the rest," Rachel gushed one evening as we sat in my living room, her eyes sparkling with excitement. That's great, Rachel. I really hope it works out, I replied, masking my reservations with a smile. How did you two meet? At that yoga retreat I went to last spring. It was like an instant connection, she explained, fluttering her hands dramatically. Our parents were thrilled, immediately throwing themselves into wedding planning. They had a soft spot for Rachel and often indulged her more whimsical desires. I couldn't help but feel a bit sidelined, as usual, the responsible, reliable one. Lisa dear, we were thinking a wedding could be in your backyard. It's just perfect, my mom proposed one afternoon, her tone hopeful. I hesitated, my heart sinking a bit. We can talk about it, sure. Let's see what Rachel thinks. As much as I wanted to be supportive, I was also protective of my space, my sanctuary. Little did I know, this was just the beginning of what would become one of the most outrageous demands Rachel would ever make on me. During a family dinner, the air was light with excitement over Rachel's upcoming wedding, until the moment she dropped a bombshell on me. Since we're all here, I have something important to ask. Lisa, you know how much I love your house, right? It's just perfect for Mike and me to start our married life. I choked on my water, coughing a little as I processed her words. You're joking, right? Not at all. It's way too big for just you, and what better gift than helping your little sister out? Our parents exchanged uneasy glances, clearly torn. Lisa, maybe it's something to think about. It could really help Rachel and Mike, Mom suggested gently, trying to smooth things over. Dad, what do you think? I was desperate for some support, looking toward him with pleading eyes. Well, it is an unusual request, but it's also an opportunity for us to keep the family close. Dad added, his voice neutral. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. You want me to give up my home, the home I built from scratch, as a wedding gift? Rachel's eyes widened, feigning surprise. It's not like I'm asking for a handout. Think of it as passing it on to family. Isn't that what families do? Help each other. Helping is one thing. This is something else entirely, I retorted, feeling the tension rise. It's just a house, Lisa. You can always build another. Rachel chimed in, her tone dismissive. Just a house. Rachel, you know how hard I've worked for it. It's not about the bricks and mortar. It's about what it represents. Mom tried to mediate. Maybe there's a way to make everyone happy. Lisa, could you at least think it over for the family? As the meal progressed, the atmosphere soured. Each comment from Rachel felt like another jab, another reminder that my hard work was being undervalued. You're being really selfish, Lisa. I thought you'd be happy to support me on my big day. Supporting your wedding and giving away my home are two very different things, Rachel, Dad sighed, pinching the bridge of his nose. Let's not turn this dinner into an argument. Lisa, take some time to think it over. All right. I nodded, more out of a desire to end the conversation than any agreement. As the dinner wrapped up, the weight of the conversation hung over me like a dark cloud. I needed a plan, a way to show them the absurdity of Rachel's request without tearing the family apart. That night, as I lay in bed, the walls of my home felt more precious than ever. The idea of handing over my sanctuary was unimaginable, yet the pressure from my family was real and pressing. I knew something had to be done, and simply refusing wasn't going to be enough. They needed to see Rachel's true colors, and I had just the idea to make that happen. After tossing and turning all night, I decided to call Mike. Surprisingly, he was just as frustrated as I was with Rachel's demands. Listen, Mike, I think we need to show her what it really means to own a home. It's not all dinner parties and decorating. Exactly, Lisa. She doesn't understand half of what goes into it. What do you have in mind? How about a trial period? Rachel moves in thinking she'll inherit the house. But we set up real-life challenges. Let her handle everything I do daily, from bills to unexpected repairs. Mike paused, then chuckled. You're serious? Like a reality check, yes. But it has to look supportive, not like a setup. Can you handle being on the inside? You bet. I'll make sure she doesn't suspect a thing. The next day, I invited Rachel over, putting on my best big sister face. So I've been thinking about your proposal, and maybe there's a way to work this out. How about a trial period? You and Mike move in and handle everything. If after 3 months it feels right, we can talk about transferring the house. Rachel's eyes lit up. Really? You do that? Of course, I replied. But it's not just about living here. It's about managing everything, bills, maintenance, the whole deal. Sounds easy enough, right, babe? Rachel turned to Mike, who nodded enthusiastically. Great, let's start this weekend. I'll help you settle in. As they moved in, I laid out the homeowner's handbook I had created, complete with budget sheets and a schedule of maintenance tasks. The first challenge was simple: a clogged sink. Just call a plumber, right? Rachel asked, scrolling through her phone. Nope, you're going to fix it. That's what homeowners do, I insisted, handing her a plunger and a wrench. Mike reported to me daily. She's already complaining. Missed her nail appointment because she had to wait for the HVAC guy. The hidden cameras I'd installed for security, which I'd informed them about, captured every tantrum and mishap. Rachel struggling to reset a tripped breaker, her meltdown over the lawnmower not starting, and her fury when the weekly budget fell short. Each day brought new challenges. I made sure the problems were just tough enough to push her but still believable as regular homeownership woes. Why is everything breaking? Rachel exclaimed one evening as another appliance had cuped. That's home life, Rachel. Things happen, I replied, hiding my smirk. As the weeks passed, Rachel's facade began to crack. Complaints piled up, and her true nature surfaced more with each passing day. Mike kept me updated, but he was growing wary too. This was a good idea, Lisa, but I'm not sure how much more I can take. She's not the person I thought she was. Just a bit longer, Mike. I think everyone needs to see this, especially our parents. The final week approached, and I planned a grand final. A mock house assessment to test all that Rachel had learned. The family was invited to see the results, setting the stage for what I hoped would be a revealing conclusion to this little experiment. As the family gathered, curious to see how Rachel had managed, the backyard was set up like a small festival. Everyone was in a jovial mood, unaware of the brewing storm. So Rachel, ready to show us how you've handled the house? I asked, handing her a checklist of the day's tasks. This is ridiculous, Lisa. Why do I need to prove anything? Rachel snapped, her patience thinning. It's all part of the trial. Everyone's here to support you. As Rachel attempted the first task, fixing a leaky faucet, the problems began. The faucet had been rigged to be a bit more troublesome than usual, a final test of her problem-solving skills. Why will this thing just work? Rachel's voice rose in frustration, echoing through the backyard as our relatives watched. You have to tighten it more, maybe, Mike suggested, trying to guide her without stepping in. I am tightening it, Mike. Nothing's happening. Moving on, Rachel was to balance the monthly budget. I had slightly altered the numbers as they wouldn't quite add up, testing her attention to detail and patience. This doesn't make any sense. These numbers are off, Rachel exclaimed, throwing down the pen. It should all be there, Rachel. Maybe take another look, I urged, keeping my tone neutral. I've looked 3 times, Lisa. Are you sure you didn't mess this up just to make me look bad? The final straw came with the lawn maintenance. Overnight, I'd had extra fast-growing grass seed spread, which made the yard look like it hadn't been mowed in weeks. Now for the lawn, Rachel. It seems to have grown quite a bit, huh? I remarked casually. This is impossible. It wasn't this high yesterday. Did you do this, Lisa? Rachel's face was a mix of anger and desperation. No, why would I do that? Grass grows, you know. That's part of having a home. I can't do this anymore. You set this all up to fail. You never wanted to give me the house. Her outburst caught everyone's attention. Mom and Dad looked on, bewildered by the scene unfolding. Rachel, calm down. Let's talk about this. Mom tried to intervene. No, Mom, you need to see how Lisa has been torturing me with these impossible tasks. She's been setting me up to fail this whole time. The family gathering, meant to be a celebration, turned into a spectacle of Rachel's meltdown. As difficult as it was, this was the moment of truth, revealing not just the condition of the house, but the true dynamics at play. After Rachel's public meltdown, the atmosphere was thick with tension and disbelief. As she stormed off into the house, tears streaming down her face, Mom and Dad approached me, their expressions heavy with regret. We're so sorry, Lisa. We never realized how much pressure we put on you, or how unreasonable Rachel's demands were, Mom said softly. It's not just about the house, Mom. It's about respecting each other's lives and efforts. I hope Rachel sees that now, I replied. Dad nodded, his usual jovial demeanor subdued. We've been too lenient with her. always making excuses. It's time we all took responsibility for our actions, especially Rachel. I turned towards Mike, who looked like he was carrying the weight of the world on his shoulders. Despite everything, I felt a twinge of sympathy for him. I'm calling off the wedding, Lisa. I can't marry into this dynamic. It's not healthy for anyone, Mike said, his voice laced with resignation. You have to do what's best for you, Mike. I'm sorry it had to end this way. He managed a weak smile. Thanks for opening my eyes, Lisa. I hope Rachel learns from this. I really do. As the guests left, their murmurs of the day's drama echoing in the air, I took a moment to savor the quiet of my home. For the first time in weeks, I felt a sense of peace. The next morning, Rachel joined me in the kitchen, her eyes puffy from crying, her voice shaky. I'm sorry, Lisa. I didn't realize how out of line I was until I saw everyone's reactions yesterday. It's a start, Rachel, but apologies are just the beginning. You need to make some real changes. I know, I'm going to start therapy and find a place for Mike and me. Well, just me now, she admitted, her voice tinged with regret. That sounds like a good plan. Remember, Rachel, respect isn't given. It's earned, and that starts with respecting yourself enough to take responsibility for your life. Rachel nodded, a glimmer of understanding in her eyes. I'll try, Lisa. Really, I will. As the house slowly returned to its usual serene state, Mom and Dad began to see our family dynamics in a new light. They started setting boundaries with Rachel, who moved into a small apartment, began therapy, and took a more active role in managing her finances and life. It was a long road ahead, but there was hope that she could turn her life around. Meanwhile, I reclaimed my space and peace, focusing on my career and personal growth. The entire ordeal taught me the importance of boundaries and the strength it takes to maintain them. In the end, the house remained my sanctuary, a symbol of my hard work and dedication. And as for Rachel, with a bit of luck and a lot of work, maybe she'd find her own way, building something truly her own, rooted in reality and respect, not entitlement. The story of Lisa and Rachel has come to an end, but the conversation doesn't have to. What do you think about Lisa's decision to put Rachel through the homeownership test? Was it a fair strategy to expose Rachel's entitlement, or do you think there were better ways to handle the situation? Share your thoughts in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this story and want to catch more like it, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. Hi there, I'm Sarah Johnson, a 25-year-old with a brand new MBA in hand, ready to conquer the business world. My husband, Michael, says he's supportive of my career ambitions, but sometimes I wonder. Like last Sunday, we were having dinner with his parents, a regular weekly tradition that's more of an endurance test than a meal. My father-in-law, Robert, is a big-shot local businessman who thinks the world revolves around his success. So Sarah, Robert says, cutting into his steak with the precision of a surgeon dissecting my dreams, found a nice little hobby to keep you busy now that school's done. I force a smile. Actually, Robert, I'm exploring some exciting career opportunities. He scoffs. Career? The only career a woman needs is running a good home. Michael suddenly finds his mashed potatoes fascinating, and my mother-in-law, Linda, sips her wine, staying out of it. Later that week, I'm unloading my frustrations to my best friend, Emily, over lattes at our favorite coffee shop. Don't let that old dinosaur get to you, Emily says, squeezing my hand. You're brilliant, and any company would be lucky to have you. I sigh. I know, but it feels like I'm swimming against the current sometimes. Emily grins. Then be a salmon. They swim upstream and still make it. Just then, my younger sister Jessica joins us, excitement written all over her face. Sarah, you won't believe it. I got an A on my business project. The teacher said I reminded her of you. I smile, proud. That's amazing, Jess. Keep it up, and you'll be running your own company in no time. As we're leaving, my phone buzzes, an email from that big firm I've been dreaming of. My heart races as I open it. Oh my God, I whisper. Emily and Jessica crowd around. What is it? I look up grinning. I got the job offer. They squeal and hug me tightly. We have to celebrate, Jessica says. My birthday's coming up. How about we throw a party and you can announce the job then? As we start planning, I feel a mix of excitement and nerves. This party could change everything, but am I ready for what's next? The night of the party arrives and everything is perfect. My parents are beaming with pride, and even Michael seems genuinely happy for me. I catch Emily's eye across the room, and she gives me a thumbs up. It's time. I clink my glass to get everyone's attention. Thank you all for coming. I have some exciting news. But before I can continue, Robert, reeking of whiskey, stumbles forward. Hold up there, little lady. I've got something to say first. My stomach drops. This can't be good. You all think you're here to celebrate, he slurs, waving his drink. But I'm here to mourn. Mourn the death of traditional values. The room goes silent, all eyes on me. Sarah here thinks she's too good to be a proper wife. Thinks she needs a career. He spits the word like it's poison. Robert, please. Linda tries to intervene, but he shoves her aside. You know what I think of your fancy education? He reaches into his jacket and pulls out my diploma. How did he even get that? Before anyone can react, he flicks a lighter, and flames lick at the edges of my hard-earned degree. A woman's place is in the kitchen, he bellows, dropping the burning paper to the floor. The silence is deafening as I stare at the charred remains of my diploma, feeling like I'm trapped in a nightmare. Michael, I whisper, turning to my husband, desperate for him to say something, anything. But Michael just stands there, eyes downcast, as silent as a statue. Tears blur my vision, and I can't take it anymore. I run from the room, hearing Emily call after me. But I can't stop. I burst onto the porch, gasping for air. Emily catches up and wraps her arms around me. Sarah, I'm so sorry. That was horrible. How could he do that? I sob into her shoulder. And Michael. He just stood there. Jessica appears, her face flushed with anger. I can't believe that just happened. We should call the cops or something. And say what? I laugh bitterly through my tears. That my father-in-law burned a piece of paper. In this town, they'd probably give him a medal. My parents join us on the porch, both looking shell-shocked. Sweetheart, my mom starts, but I cut her off. Don't. Just don't. I can't deal with this right now. I watch as guests begin to leave, whispering among themselves. Michael finally emerges, looking lost and unsure. Sarah, not now, Michael, I say, holding up a hand. I can't even look at you right now. As the last of the guests trickle out, I'm left standing on the porch with Emily and Jessica. The party decorations flutter sadly in the breeze, a mocking reminder of the celebration we had planned. What am I going to do? I whisper, more to myself than anyone else. Emily squeezes my hand. You're going to pick yourself up and show them what you're made of. This isn't the end, Sarah. It's just the beginning. I nod, but inside, I'm not so sure. How can I stay in this marriage, in this family, after what just happened? For the first time since I said I do, I'm questioning everything about my life here, and I have no idea what comes next. The weeks after my birthday disaster are a blur. Most days, I can barely get out of bed. Michael tiptoes around me like I'm made of glass, and I can't decide if I'm grateful for his caution or furious at his silence. One particularly bad day, Emily barges in, throwing open the curtains. Rise and shine, sleeping beauty, we're going out. I groan, pulling the covers over my head. Leave me alone, Em. Not a chance. Come on, Jess is waiting in the car. Somehow, they drag me to a little cafe downtown. Jessica slides a latte in front of me. Okay, sis, enough wallowing. What's the game plan? I stare into my coffee. Maybe I should just give up. Keep the peace, you know. Emily nearly chokes on her drink. Are you kidding me? And let that old fossil win? No way, Sarah. Jessica leans in closer. You've always been my hero. Don't let them take that away. Their words hit me hard, and I realize I've been letting Robert win all this time. You're right, I say, straightening up. Michael tries to play peacemaker. Sarah, what if we moved to the city for your job? I look at him, really look at him. Would you actually support me there? Or would you just hide from your father? His silence is answer enough. Things take an unexpected turn when Emily calls me later that week, her voice hushed. Sarah, you need to come to the bank. When I arrive, Emily pulls me into an empty office, her face serious. I was going through some old files, and well, look at this. She spreads up documents showing glaring discrepancies in Robert's business accounts. Large sums disappearing and reappearing in offshore accounts. This looks like tax evasion, I whisper, feeling a chill run down my spine. Maybe even fraud. What are you going to do? Emily asks, her eyes searching mine. I stare at the papers, my mind racing. Part of me craves revenge, wants to see Robert pay for everything he's done. But another part hesitates. Despite everything, he's still family. That night, I can't sleep. I watch Michael snoring peacefully beside me and realize something. I don't want this anymore. I deserve better. I deserve someone who will stand by me, who believes in me. The next morning, I make 2 calls. The first is to the firm in a city accepting their job offer. The second is to a divorce lawyer. When Michael comes home, he finds me packing. Sarah, what's going on? I take a deep breath. I'm leaving, Michael. I'm taking the job in the city. But I thought we were going to move together, he stammers. I shake my head. No, Michael, I'm going alone. I need a fresh start, away from all of this. His face crumples. Is this about my father? I'll stand up to him, I swear. It's too late for that, I say, zipping up my suitcase. I need someone who doesn't wait until I'm walking out the door to find their backbone. As I load my car, I feel a weight lifting off my shoulders. For the first time in weeks, I'm excited about the future. Whatever comes next, I know I can handle it. I'm done letting others dictate my worth. It's time for Sarah Johnson to soar. 6 months in the city, and I feel like a completely different person. My office view still takes my breath away sometimes. I'm sipping my morning coffee, reviewing notes for a meeting when my phone buzzes. It's Jessica. Sis, you won't believe what's happening back home. I put her on speaker as I tidy up my desk. Spill it, Jess. Robert's empire is crashing down. The IRS is all over his business. There are rumors of fraud, tax evasion, everything. My hand freezes midair. What? How did they find out? Anonymous tips, apparently. Emily's being real quiet about it, but she's got this smug look. I can't help but smile. Good old Emily. My phone buzzes again. It's Michael. I hesitate before answering. Sarah, can we talk? I step out of the office. What is it, Michael? I've changed, Sarah. I stood up to my father. I told him he was wrong about you, about everything. Please, can we try again? I close my eyes, memories flooding back. I'm sorry, Michael, but I've moved on. I hope you find happiness, but it won't be with me. As I hang up, I feel a deep sense of closure. I've outgrown that life. Weeks later, I'm standing backstage at the Women in Business Leadership Conference, my palms sweaty as I review my speech. Emily appears, grinning. You're going to knock them dead, girl. I take a deep breath. I hope so. I still can't believe they asked me to be the keynote speaker. Believe it? You've earned this. As I step onto the stage, the applause is deafening. I spot Jessica in the front row, beaming with pride. 6 months ago, I was ready to give up on my dreams. I begin. I let others define my worth, my place in the world. But standing here today, I want to tell you all, never let anyone dim your light. We all face obstacles, people who try to hold us back. But those obstacles, they're just stepping stones to our success. The rest of the speech flies by, and I realize something. This journey, as hard as it was, led me exactly where I needed to be. I'm no longer that scared, doubtful woman from a small town. I'm Sarah Johnson, businesswoman, mentor, survivor, and I'm just getting started. If you were in my shoes, would you have exposed Robert's illegal business practices immediately, or would you have kept quiet to maintain family peace? What do you think is the right thing to do when faced with corruption within your own family? Hi, I'm Emily, a mom just trying to do her best in this wild world. Here's how it all began. I remember the day it started, the first time I noticed something off about Mrs. Harrow. It was a regular morning. Lily was playing with her dolls in the living room, her laughter filling the house. That's when Mrs. Harrow walked in, her eyes narrowing as she watched Lily. Be careful with those dolls, Lily. They're not cheap, you know. Lily, bless her heart, just nodded, a bit taken aback. I tried to brush it off as one of those days for Mrs. Harrow. But it was only the beginning. As days turned into weeks, her comments grew sharper, her patience thinner. One evening, Lily accidentally spilled some juice on the rug. It was an honest mistake, but Mrs. Harrow's reaction was harsh. What have you done, you clumsy child? Do you have any idea how hard it is to clean these stains? Lily's eyes brimmed with tears as she stammered an apology. I intervened, trying to defuse the situation. Mom, it's just a rug. We can clean it. Lily didn't mean to. But Mrs. Harrow just stormed off, muttering under her breath. That night, as I tucked Lily into bed, her small voice broke the silence. Mommy, does Grandma hate me? It broke my heart. Of course not, sweetie. She's just having a tough time. But even I wasn't convinced. Something was wrong, deeply wrong. I wanted to talk to David, my husband, about his mother's behavior, but he was always so swamped with work. I didn't want to add to his stress. Then came the incident that pushed everything over the edge. Lily was playing hide and seek and accidentally bumped into Mrs. Harrow's room, knocking over a vase. The crash was like a trigger. You reckless little brat. Look what you've done. Mrs. Harrow's voice was like ice, and the slap that followed echoed through the house. I rushed in, my heart pounding. Stop it. How dare you lay a hand on her? Mrs. Harrow stood there, her hand still raised, her eyes blazing with something I couldn't comprehend. Lily was sobbing, her cheek red from the impact. You always coddle her, Emily. She needs to learn. I scooped Lily up, my own tears mixing with hers. This isn't teaching. This is cruelty. You need help, Mom. I spent the night in Lily's room, holding her close. I knew then that things couldn't go on like this. Something had to change, and it was up to me to make that change, for Lily, for us. As I walked into the house that day, the scene I stumbled upon froze me in my tracks. Lily was on the floor, tears streaming down her face, and Mrs. Harrow stood over her, her hand still in the air. What the hell is going on here? Mrs. Harrow turned to me, her expression unyielding. She needs to learn discipline. She found my savings and was playing with it. Lily is just a child. You can't just hit her. I scooped Lily up, holding her close as she sobbed into my shoulder, her little body shaking. I didn't mean it, Mommy. I just found it and. It's okay, baby. It's not your fault. But Mrs. Harrow wasn't done. You're too soft on her, Emily. She'll grow up spoiled. Being disciplined doesn't mean getting hit. I won't let you near her if this is how you're going to behave. I could feel the anger boiling inside me. This wasn't just a simple outburst. This was something much more dangerous. Later that evening, David came home. I could hear the exhaustion in his footsteps as he entered the house. I knew I had to tell him what happened, but part of me dreaded his reaction. David, we need to talk. It's about your mother. He looked at me, concern etching his face. What happened? I explained everything, watching as his expression shifted from confusion to shock, and then to a troubled frown. I can't believe this, my mom hitting Lily. David, I saw it with my own eyes. Lily is scared, and I am too. We need to do something. He ran a hand through his hair, the weight of the situation pressing down on him. I need to talk to her. This isn't like her. David, talking might not be enough. We need to keep Lily safe. He nodded slowly, the internal struggle evident on his face. I know. Let me handle this. I'll talk to her. That night, as I put Lily to bed, her small voice broke the silence once again. Mommy, does Grandma not love me anymore? Sweetie, Grandma is just going through a tough time. But I'm here, and I'll always protect you. I whispered to Lily, holding her close. This was a turning point, a moment that demanded action. Mrs. Harrow had crossed a line, and I couldn't let it slide, not when it came to Lily's safety. The house felt different that night, as if the walls themselves were echoing the tension and fear. I lay awake, thinking about what needed to be done, for Lily, for our family. The next steps wouldn't be easy, but they were necessary, and I was ready to do whatever it took. At work the next day, I found myself opening up to a colleague, Jenna. The words spilled out before I could even think. She hit Lily. I can't believe it. Jenna's eyes widened in shock. Emily, that's serious. You need to protect Lily. I know I never thought she'd go this far. As I talked, it became clear what I needed to do. I started to document everything, every incident, every harsh word from Mrs. Harrow. It was painful to relive but necessary. That evening, I sat down with David, his face etched with worry. I've been thinking, maybe it's best if Lily stays away from your mom for a while. He sighed, rubbing his temples. I know you're right, it's just hard to accept. I understand, but Lily's safety comes first. David nodded, a look of determination settling on his face. I'll talk to Mom again, make it clear. The days that followed were a blur of tension and whispered phone calls. I heard Mrs. Harrow's voice in my head, her words twisting in my memory. Asterisk, she's just a child, Mom. You can't treat her like this. Asterisk, my friends became my lifeline, offering advice and a listening ear. But the real breakthrough came unexpectedly. I was at a small gathering when a neighbor, Mrs. Thompson, pulled me aside. Emily, I've seen how Mrs. Harrow is with Lily. It's not right. Her words were like a confirmation of my worst fears. You've seen it too? She nodded. I've seen her yank Lily's arm, scold her for no reason. It's been bothering me. The validation from Mrs. Thompson fueled my resolve. Lily needed a safe space, free from Mrs. Harrow's unpredictable moods. One afternoon, as Lily played quietly in her room, I overheard her talking to her dolls. We have to be quiet or the witch will get angry. It was a gut punch. Lily was internalizing the fear, turning it into a child's game. It was a wake-up call. Hey, sweetie, you know Grandma's not really a witch, right? She looked up at me, her eyes serious. But she's mean like a witch. I hugged her tight, fighting back tears. You won't have to see her for a while, okay? We'll keep you safe. As the days passed, David's conversations with his mother grew more heated. I can't just stand by, Mom. What you did was wrong. I could hear the strain in his voice, the conflict tearing him apart. But he stood by us, by Lily. The decision to keep Lily away from Mrs. Harrow was hard but necessary. We needed to build a sanctuary, a place where fear and tension had no hold. A place where Lily could be just a child, free from the shadow of a harsh word or a raised hand. As I put Lily to bed that night, her small voice filled the room. Mommy, will the witch come back? No, sweetie. No more witches here. Just us, okay. She nodded, snuggling into her blankets. Just us. I watched her drift off to sleep, a peaceful expression on her face. It was a small victory, but a significant one. We were building our safe haven, one day at a time. The day we decided to seek professional help from Mrs. Harrow was filled with a mix of anxiety and hope. David and I sat in the waiting room of the psychiatric facility, the silence between us heavy with unspoken thoughts. Do you think we're doing the right thing? David looked at me, his eyes wary. It's the only thing we can do now for Mom, for Lily, for us. When a psychiatrist called us in, I felt a knot in my stomach. Mrs. Harrow sat there, looking smaller, more vulnerable than I had ever seen her. Mrs. Harrow, we've been discussing your recent behaviors, and we believe you need specialized care and support. Mrs. Harrow just stared at her hands, silent. It was the first time I'd seen her at a loss for words. Is there anything you'd like to say? She finally looked up, her voice barely a whisper. I don't know what's wrong with me. I'm scared. It was a side of Mrs. Harrow I had never seen before. Vulnerable, afraid. It was hard to reconcile this image with the woman who had caused so much pain. Over the next few weeks, we visited the facility regularly. The doctors diagnosed Mrs. Harrow with a mental health condition that had been affecting her behavior. It was a relief to have an explanation, but it didn't erase the past. One evening, as Lily and I sat on the porch, she looked up at me with curious eyes. Is Grandma going to be okay? I pulled her into a hug, the warmth of her small body a stark contrast to the cool evening air. She's getting the help she needs, sweetie, and we're here for her, okay? Lily nodded, snuggling closer. I just want us all to be happy, she said softly. Her words echoed my own wishes. A simple, happy life. That's all we ever wanted. David's visits to his mother became more about understanding and less about confrontation. He'd come back with updates, a mix of concern and hope in his voice. They say she's responding to treatment. It's going to take time, but there's hope. I could see the relief in his eyes, the burden of guilt and worry slowly lifting. Maybe now we could start to heal as a family. The days turned into weeks, and slowly the atmosphere in our home lightened. Lily's laughter returned, filling the spaces that had once been shadowed by fear. One day, as we were having dinner, David looked at us, a smile tugging at his lips. You know, I think we're going to be okay. We've been through a lot, but we're still here, still together. We're more than okay, I replied. We're strong, and we're healing together. As the story of our family unfolded, it became a testament to resilience and the power of seeking help. Mrs. Harrow's journey through mental health treatment, our journey as a family toward understanding and forgiveness. It was a path filled with challenges, but also with love and hope. Life had thrown us into turbulent waters, but we learned to navigate them together. And as we move forward, the dawn of a new day brought with it the promise of peace, healing, and a stronger bond than ever before. The story of Emily, Lily, and Mrs. Harrow has come to a close, revealing the complexities of family dynamics and mental health. Here's a question for you to ponder. If you were in Emily's position, how would you have handled the situation with Mrs. Harrow? Would you have made the same choices or taken a different path? Your experiences and opinions matter, and I'd love to hear them in the comments below. Also, if you enjoyed this story and would like to hear more, please don't forget to like this video.